Hey there, and welcome back to the TVC Collector channel. Um, I'm doing another video here. This is going to be for a span of just a couple of days from March 15th through March 17th on 2026. So, a lot of stuff going on in the TVC world. We'll just start out with everybody knows about the pre-order for the Geonosian Picadora and the Ore that went on pre-order yesterday, and then I'm sure most people have ordered or pre-ordered their ATRT from the Mandalorian, and of course those waves are starting to hit. But let's get into what's been happening for at least this period of days. There was quite a bit of activity that happened for just these 2 days, so I was just going to cover these 2 days, and then I'll do another video for moving forward with what's going on there. And we'll start out with this cantina. This is a piece of the cantina. So this seller here was selling this cantina, the bar, the distillery, and a carted wooher, and it sold for 250, so about 262. So that's pretty interesting. He wasn't selling all of the alcoves and everything, but at least just that piece about what you saw there. It's a pretty interesting sale there. So I think we talked about on the previous video, some of those base units for the entire base unit without the figures were going for roughly about the same price. So that just kind of gives you an idea of how much those cantinas are going for. This one here is really interesting. We have the Rebel Fleet Trooper pack, the 4-pack, and man, $125, well, almost $135 with shipping. These things have shot up tremendously, and I remember when they were just, originally I think they were 44.99 when they first came out, and I did not realize they were climbing so high. But apparently, a lot of people want those, to go in their 10 to 4 play sets. So, well, if you missed out on these, it looks like it's going to cost you a little bit there to get them. Next up, we had another one of the 3-pack droid sets. This one went for $100, about 110 with shipping. So again, special action figure set, same set we looked at on the previous video. That's a really nice set, unpunched. I really like those when they're unpunched. That's the 2010 set. Next up, we had a Jocasta New. This was from Star Wars Celebration 6. So Brian's Toys had these, and you could either pre-order them from Brian's Toys or you could get them at the convention. And if you were at the convention, now this one wasn't in the greatest of shape, but if you were at the convention, you could also pick up the proof card. And this seller didn't advertise this in here, but he included it in the photo, so I'm assuming it came with the proof card as well. So, but that's a fairly cheap price for this. I mean, we've seen those go for 225 easy. So this one again doesn't look like it's in the greatest condition, but if you wanted to save as much money as possible, especially if you plan to open it, then that one's about, what is that, about 175 with shipping there. So a really nice item, especially with the Attack of the Clones theme this year coming out and stuff. Those come with the Dooku head as well. And it's really hard to see, but there it is right there. It's the little Dooku statue. So that's a really cool set. I wish Hasbro would do more stuff like that nowadays. Next up, we got a 4-pack of the Ghost figures. So it comes with all 4 figures. You got Kanan, you got Zeb, you got Ezra, and Hera on the mural cards. So that was 239, 240 free shipping, and here again, so that's right at $60 a piece if you're buying all 4 of them. Not bad for HasLab exclusives with unpunched cards. Next up, we had a Return of the Jedi, or this is, I'm sorry, the Revenge of the Jedi. So this is again not a really great condition figure, but 189 is on the cheaper side for this figure. And plus it had the big price sticker on it. It looks like that was Kmart. There's a big K on there. So, um, but yeah, 189 is on the is a little bit lower for this particular figure. If you're trying to find one loose, I've seen them go for $100. Just even loose. So it's going to be an expensive figure to get. But that one went for 189, about 195 shipped. Next up, now this one was from Germany. This is the foil Darth Vader VCO8. We talked about one of the other ones on a previous video, but this one went for 103. So that's a really nice figure. As far as I could tell, it looked pretty crispy. Didn't look like it had any creased corners or anything. Um, just a reminder on the foil. The foil was one of the earlier releases that here again we use the original Kenner card backs. Those are vintage figures, vintage collection figures, but those are Kenner card backs and didn't have the collect all. And that's going to be true of all of the original foil figures that they did because they were some of the earliest releases. Which brings us into our next one. Now this one's really interesting. This is a Boba Fett VCO9. And there are many, many, many variations. Just like I talked about, as many variations as there are for Darth Vader, there are for Boba Fett as well. Luke Skywalker VC23 is another one where there's a lot of variations. So you have card variations and you have figure variations. So card variations obviously are some of the things that I talked about before, which I'm going to get a little bit deeper into right now. This particular combo is unpunched. It's $2.99, you know, 315 shipped. But I wanted to cover the variation about this. Um, and I'm going to use, if we look at the back of this card, so this is here again, one of the earlier ones that did not have the collect all these, awesome figures, and plus it used the Kenner cards. But there's several different combinations to this, and I'm going to pull up mine that I have. So first and foremost, if I've got this foil version of VCO9, which is basically the same thing. It's the same card back. The only difference being was the foil. Here again, the figures are to the right hand. The vintage figures are to the right hand side, and you can see it's missing the logos or the text. But there is another version of this. So I have this version of it where it does have the boba offer, and now it has the collect these awesome figures, but the images here have not changed. They're still the Kenner figures. So if we go back to this figure over here, you can see his is still the Kenner figure, but it's missing the text. So I have a kind of an in-betweener where it's still using the old Kenner, but they added the text. So that's a variation within itself. His is unpunched, mine is punched, but I just wanted to point that difference out to you versus the one with no text with the foil. And there is a regular one like this with a boba offer that has the no text as well. So there's, again, if you're into card variations, there's a lot of them to get into, and that doesn't include the Return of the Jedi and the Revenge of the Jedi and all of those other things. But then also I have here is my unpunched offerless boba VCO9, where now they had updated both the text and the cards are the vintage cards in the back, and they move the figures to the left. So anyway, just in the ESB line, I also have North American cards, which is what we will call the Canadian cards, or North American, South American cards. Those are completely different. They're really cool. But just wanted to point out these three here. And if you look at even the text on the back of this, you can see on mine where it says collect these awesome figure or these awesome characters. It's all in capital letters versus if you look at this, it says collect these awesome characters in lowercase font. So, I mean, they were making running changes when they were making these cards, back in 2010. So, a lot of different variations. And again, that's not even the figure, that's just the card itself. So now, if we're going to get into the figure variant, I'm going to go back up here to the top and show you the figure itself. This is the figure variant. Look at his boots. So sometimes you will see this, and I have another figure I'm going to show you that was graded where it talks about this. These stripes on this boot are wide, okay? If you look at the foil version, they're thin striped. Okay, so they got the thin striped boots and the white striped boots. I have the same thing on this card, right, with all the card variations. And then this one here, my unpunched one, this one has the thick striped boots. So, and I think the Return and the Revenge also have the thick striped boots. So this was again where I believe Hasbro made a mistake when they were first issuing these, and somebody caught it at some point and said, "Hey, he has these big stripes on his boots." So they went back and they fixed that. So Again, VCO9, you can run yourself ragged trying to capture all the variations, but I just wanted to point that out. That's a big boy price, 315, but that's not the biggest one because there was another one that sold that was actually graded, and this was graded 9 and it sold for 550. So that is a big number. What is that? 560 shipped. And if we look at that, um, he has the big, thin, thick stripes, and he also has the older original card back, right? That has no text with the Kenner figure or the Kenner cards, not the figures. But so again, just many variations of Boba Fett VCO9. So I was totally addicted to this when these came out, and I got everything that I could find. I'm still finding, 15 years, 16 years later, that I might missing one here and there, and so it's almost like you'll never be done with this if you're that into it. So anyway, let's moving on from Boba Fett, and we'll just talk about some other things. This is really cool. This is Luke Skywalker's Tauntaun, 125, so about 135 shipped. This is a really nice looking box from the front. It displays very well, but I did see right here on the bottom, I guess the bottom or top side, that would be the bottom side with the UPC code, but it does have a dent in it. But still, if you want the Luke Skywalker Tauntaun from 2020, I don't know if that was 2010 or 2012, but anyway, from the 1.0 era, then that's about what it goes for. It would be nice if Hasbro would do the Han Solo Tauntaun, which this one here has the broken horn, which is the Luke Skywalker one. The Han Solo Tauntaun does not have a broken horn, so that would be another reason they could reissue the Tauntaun. Would not hurt my feelings if they did the open belly. Like they did in the Kenner days. The Kenner days, the original Tauntaun, some of them did not have the slit in the belly, and some of them did. I really wish they would do one with the slit belly. I just think that would be a really cool throwback to the Kenner days, and do it with the Han Solo figure. As the ESB Han Solo. And speaking of that Han Solo, obviously the original Kenner color on the jacket was blue. Totally getting off topic here, but the original Kenner jacket was blue. But we know since then, lighting and so on and so forth with the movies, it looked blue, but the jacket was actually brown. So the last time that they released that figure, they did it in the Saga collection. It was the vintage Saga collection in 2007, and they actually put it with a brown jacket and the binoculars. So this is another opportunity for them to bring back variations. I would very much love for them to do the ESB Hoth, gear Han, and do it with both variations. Do the brown jacket and one with the blue jacket, and just make it fun again. Make it fun. Make them the same VCO number so that we're all sitting here chasing our tails crazy and going off of eBay and trying to find them and trading and so on and so forth. So Hasbro, if you're listening, that's a good idea. Let's move on to some vehicles. Here's another one of those TIE fighters like we talked about yesterday or the day before. This is 300, 340 shipped. This one is a much cleaner box than the one we talked about on the previous video. It still does not have the shipper box, but still, that's what I was telling you. If you just be patient, if you're looking one to keep, if you're going to open it, it doesn't matter. Then go for it. But this one is a very clean looking box. It doesn't have much shelfware on it at all. So very nice. But again, these Return of the Jedi TIE Interceptors, they hold their value pretty well. So I thought myself that Hasbro might release since they showed up in season 3 of The Mandalorian, I thought it would be cool to get a new TIE fighter out and put it in that Mandalorian package. That would be a way to get them out without actually, messing up the value of this Return of the Jedi one. Moving on, we got a couple of Razor Crest cells here. This one sold boxed in the shipper box for 562 shipped, right? So, and that one was coming from South Carolina. I got a couple of these. This one here was 600 is what they had on there, so 650. But they had a buy it now price on there, and the buy it now price was 575. So was that about 625, 630 for that one? So this one here was 565, definitely a cheaper price. That one was about 630 shipped, and then there was actually one more here that was listed for $659 free shipping, and the best offer accepted on that one was $630. So $630 shipped, about $635 shipped, and this is the best price selling one, which was $562 shipped. So, but that's here again. They're back up on the rise. So a lot of HasLab Razor Crests are being sold right now. Moving on, here's another B-Wing. I thought these were really interesting. This was $205 shipped. I found another one that was $188 with $20, so it's like, what is that, about 208? So 205 shipped and 208 shipped. So that's what the Y-Wings are going for in the 1.0 run. Here again, coming up for the next year for the 50th anniversary, I thought it would be really cool if they did the screen accurate one with the yellow instead of the red. The last time they did that was in the 2007 30th anniversary collection, and it's a really really cool ship, really good ship. It's based on the old model. It has the bomb underneath it that comes with it. I have one in my display case that I got way back when. So be really cool anyway if next year they brought out, in the vintage packaging, but in the Star Wars double racetrack rather than the Return of the Jedi. So hopefully they'll do that, and we'll get maybe a Y-wing pilot to go with it. These next three are actually autograph figures, which are really cool. So if you're a fan of the Clone Wars, Rebels, Bad Batch, you know that D. Bradley Baker voiced all the clones in all of those series, including Captain Rex, including Hunter, including Wrecker. He's extremely talented, and plus he does all kinds of creature voices and stuff. So, but at any rate, somebody got this Echo autographed by him at a convention, and it sold for basically $100. They also got the fives and sold it for $100, and also got the Captain Rex. So this one sold for 150. Rex being obviously the more prominent character than the other two that only featured in a couple of the Clone Wars episodes. So, but I thought those were really cool. Whether you get them graded or not is entirely up to you. I have a bunch of autograph. Way back in the day, I used to chase the circuit, and I have a bunch of autograph figures that I never have gotten graded. I just have them in the protective cases and store them, and so on and so forth. So it's a personal preference of whether you want to get them graded. I would probably put them in an acrylic at the very least. You can get acrylics relatively cheaply for $15 or so for TVC ones, and it's a much more protection on something that you're going to pay that much for rather than using the plastic, cases. So, lastly, we have there was a box, a sealed box of VC 165 Remnant Stormtroopers sold for 110, so about 118 shipped to your door. So that's all I got for this last couple of days. Like I said, that was a lot of stuff to cover just in a 2-day span. So I'll be making another video pretty soon. Appreciate if you would hit a like on the channel. And subscribe if you're new. You can also choose notifications for when I post new videos. And if you want to comment in the comments, or you can email me at vintage collection collector at gmail.com. Thanks. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time.